Viewer discretion is advised.
I've had my fob family come over from overseas, go to like one of my aunties, and they get used and abused for being a slave. Go get them a good job. They were promised like a good life, and then when they find a good job, that family holds on to their credit cards or debit cards, and every payday they only give that family member like $50 or $100. But according to them, like that's a lot of money because they've never had that money in the islands before. And then when they catch wind of like what's going on, you wonder why half of them like find a girlfriend or boyfriend at their job and then run off. And then sometimes when I speak on those issues or like those taboo topics, they all look at me like, bro, you don't understand. You don't get it. You don't understand the culture. And I was like, bro, if that's your culture, then I don't want it.
Mandate.
Welcome to Mandate, where we navigate fresh perspectives and nothing is off the table. Tonight's guest from Tāmaki Makurau, from a place called, known to us as the Promised Land, also as 274, but better known to all of us as the home of the brave, Otara. He is an advocate, an amazing individual, an advocate in several spaces. He's one of the advocates and a member of a group called the ASD Dad NZ. For fathers and dads who have children or have a child with autism. Also, he's a member of the panel. The panel is a charitable group. And left field, the man is also a pro wrestler. He's been a pro wrestler for 10 plus years. He's travelled extensively around Aotearoa, New Zealand, obviously in Australia as well, but also had a stint in Japan in 2016. But the thing I love about this guy, because he doesn't mince his words. The man is quite controversial. What you see is what you get, and he's quite open to a discussion. But also, he's very strong in his convictions as well. So please put your hands together for the one and only, the man himself, Kingston Eclipse. Man, my Uso, hey Uso, thank you so much. Obviously, we caught up last year, the Brothers Keepers. Props to Seal. But also, man, glad to have you on the podcast tonight at the table. And so please tell us, because people know you as a social influencer, the things you put out online on TikTok, and some of the things you say, you don't hold back. And people might disagree with what you have to share, but tell us a little bit before we kind of delve into the more of the talanoa. Tell us a little bit about yourself and all that kind of stuff in the beginning. If we can bring it back to the beginning also.
Oh yeah. So born and raised in Otara, like you said before. Out in Dawson. An old boy too of LaSalle, back in 07. I played league for Otara Scorps since the age of 9 till about my early 20s, I think it was. And then I think all the boys just kind of had their own lives. They all drifted off. My old man was still the coach. He's been my coach since I was 9. Went and did other things, and then my old man went back to work. And then I think around maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years ago, I think it was. Me and my brothers, we thought we'll give a crack at rugby union. So we went out for Karaka, and then my old man caught wind of it, and he wanted to come have a jam. I was like, man, you're like over 50, bro. You're like, no, I want to have a jam. So then there was us for that 1 year, just the brothers and the dad just having a little jam. And then we asked the old man like if he wants to like coach maybe like 1 more year for Otara. And he was like, nah, go play for another team. We're like, nah, bro, we're Otara like through and through. I mean, like playing rugby union, like I didn't care, I'll play for any team. But when it came to league, like, nah, man, my heart's for Otara. And then like you said before, like I did pro wrestling. Started off here in New Zealand. Had a couple of years in New Zealand, then my name started getting recognition, but from Australia. And I think with me, because I'm so into competition, like if I'm doing something and there's no competition around me, or I got nothing to like aim for, like in that field, then I go looking elsewhere. And because like my name got like a bit of recognition in Oz, I just thought I'll give it a crack. went over to Oz, did a couple of shows there. And that was like my routine, I think most weekends. So I'll come home Monday to Friday, work, but then maybe Friday night I'm off. And I won't come back till like Sunday night, depending on how many shows I have from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if I only got like 2 shows, there'll be Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday I fly back. And then it's just a repeat, like different companies in Australia. So that was my routine, coming back, going back and forth. And then there was this one company in Sydney. They were holding like a seminar, wrestling seminar, and the special guest was Shelton Benjamin. And because I was still in my early 20s, and I was like, oh, bro, I'm gonna just give it a crack. So then I sent through my details to the promoter, and the promoter didn't know who I was. He was like, oh, yeah, it's in Sydney. I go, yeah, I know. Like, oh, well, are you from Sydney? I was like, no, I'm from New Zealand. They're like, well, you're going to be the only outsider. I was like, bro, it's Shelton Benjamin, bro. Like, I want to give it a crack. So then, like, he gave me the shot, went down to Sydney, did the trial, did the seminar, and Shelton Benjamin was like, oh, so you live around here? I was like, no, I'm from a different country. He's like, how far is the country? I was like, oh, maybe like a 3-hour flight. Oh, see, a 3-hour flight to come here for a 5-hour seminar, and then when you're going home, I'm going home next day. I was like, do you always do something like this? I was like, nah, it's like, because it's you, bro, Shelton Benjamin. And he was like, okay, the promoter's got your details right. I go, yeah. Okay, expect an email from me then. I was like, yeah, whatever, bro. He probably said it to everybody. So then, like, I came home, got an email from the promoter that was holding that event, and then he was like, oh, Shelton Benjamin likes what you have. I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. He was like, yeah, he wants to, at that time, I think he wants to get a hold of you. He's got 3 options that you can choose from, like which 3 different companies. I was like, oh, yeah, cool, what is it? And he was like, oh, it's Ring of Honor, or Booker T's promotion, Reality of Wrestling, or go with Shelton Benjamin to Japan for Pro Wrestling Noah. And because like those are like all 3 big options, like I've never had that before. And then like with my dad, because my dad's always been my coach, and like anything sport related, like we always got to have a table talk. So I was like, Dad, and yeah, man, like got 3 options. And he was like, oh yeah, for what? Okay, for wrestling. And like, because my dad, bro, he's like in the golden era of wrestling. Like, you got to have that character. You got to believe in that character. And your mannerism has to be like that. So he was like, the Shelton Benjamin fell in love with the character, like a year. And he was like, so what's your option then? So I gave him the 3 options. And he was like, what do you want to do? You want to go to America or you want to go to Japan? I was like, I don't know, man. And he was like, oh, just follow whatever Shelton says. So then I gave Shelton a call. I was like, yo, I'm keen for Japan. He's like, okay, cool. I'll book your flights. So Shelton Benjamin booked my flights, paid for everything. And then I flew. I was like, shit. And then, yeah, went there, did a couple shows, toured around Japan for like 3 to 4 months. And then I came back home. And then when I came home, I was just doing my wrestling again, but like traveling the same thing, like back and forth to Australia, all around Auckland, all around New Zealand. And then COVID came along, and then that pretty much fucked up my whole routine. I had my last show in Sydney before they closed the borders. So when I knew that was gonna happen, so I told the promoter, like, this might be my last time. I don't know when I'll be coming back, but hopefully it won't be as long. So then when I flew back, I don't know, I couldn't train because you got to be vaccinated. So I'm not vaxxed. Some of these events, you got to carry like a vaccine passport. I didn't have that. Even when you're flying, you got to have a vaccine passport or like proof that you've been vaccinated, and I didn't have that. So in a way, like, wrestling was all I had, and then I just kind of had to figure out what else to do. And then That's when Kiss the Floor was born. I think I give props to my wrestling because wrestling, Kingston Eclipse, the wrestler, that was my way of expressing myself, coming out of my shell. And then with the Kiss the Floor thing, I think it was just built up anger because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I couldn't continue on with the dream that I had. And then, just Kiss the Floor was more like the other version of me, but cranked up at 1,000. And then many accounts later, many accounts get banned, many accounts get suspended, have to appeal and all those kind of things. And then kind of simmered down a bit. I met up with a couple of members from the panel. We started attacking the online space, doing live streams every Tuesday nights on TikTok. We talk more about, I wouldn't say like unspoken truths, but more like taboo topics within the Polynesian community. Stuff that is happening right in front of our eyes, but we choose not to say it out of like respect for the family or respect for the elders, even though like you can tell like it's affecting that person's mental health, but they're doing it because they don't want to disrespect the elders. So when they voice their opinions or when they voice their concerns, they go through us, and then we speak on the platform with their permission. We keep them anonymous as well, and then because there's 5 of us, there's 5 different answers to that problem or to that situation, and to that person, like they can take whichever answer that relates to them more. And with us, with the panel, like there's 5 different 5 different personalities, but we all agree to disagree, but we never like hold it against each other. It's like a normal thing with us. Like we're not your typical panel out there where they're just so serious all the time. With us, bro, like we have our moments where we're serious, but at the same time we banter the fuck out of each other. We all had that kind of like the sibling kind of vibe. And I think we've been running for maybe close to 2 years now, and like there's a lot of wins that we had, but we rather keep it behind closed doors because out of respect for those people that reached out to us. Yeah, and then that's pretty much from the start till right now. Yeah.
Also, man, it seems like you've done a lot within the span of obviously the four years during lockdown. It'd be nice to, can I ask you, because I know wrestling was a big part of who you are as an individual, and even more so now. But just wondering, because why wrestling? Because obviously you did the rugby league, the rugby, and then all of a sudden wrestling. Because people think, oh, that's not one of the first vocations. People think, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a wrestler.
Yeah,
especially in New Zealand.
I think it was weird because like like with us kids, like growing up, wrestling's always on the TV. Especially when it was like for free on Channel 2 and Channel 4. So I think growing up, like wrestling's always been in the back of my head. Even when I was doing rugby and then transition from rugby to dancing. So I did a bit of Crump for a couple of years when Crump first came to NZ. I drifted away from Crump and went into MMA. So I did a couple fights with Oliver MMA. And then from there, I kind of just got curious. Like it was always on the back of my mind, like pro wrestling. And I was like, I wanted to tick it off my bucket list. So then I found a company that was holding trialouts or like talent intakes. And I was like, oh, what the hell? I'll just put my name down. You never know. If I make it, I'll make it. If I don't, as long as I gave it a try. So I put my name down. I think there was 15 of us that trialed. And I think out of 15, I was the only one that made it. And then I didn't make it because I was fit. I made it because like I had a different look. I was like that sore thumb, that like the odd one out. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And they were like, yeah, but you need to work hard on your fitness, bro. I was like, bro, I thought like rugby training, like, because I've been active my whole life, that like pro wrestling training will be easy, but man, it's hard running those ropes, running up those ropes, running out, running back in, and jumping and all that kind of stuff. I was like, damn. And yeah, then I came back to my parents' house and I was like, oh yeah, I tried for to become a wrestler. And then my dad was like, oh yeah, what? Like Roman, Greco-Roman wrestling. I was like, nah, not amateur wrestling, like pro wrestling. He was like the fake one. Like, you went from MMA to the fake one. I was like, yeah, but I made it. And I think my dad at that time, he was like, he thought like contact sport, like it wasn't the go for me. That's why I went to pro wrestling. But I didn't know that like when I told him that I was a pro wrestler, that he got really invested in the idea. So I went to trainings, and then I think 3 or 4 months within my rookie year, I did my debut. And then I told my dad, I was like, oh, hey, I'm having my debut. And he was like, okay, you can come watch. I was like, nah, I'm not going to watch. I was like, okay. So then I did a couple more shows. I go, oh, Dad, I got another show. You can come down. He's like, nah, I'm not going to come down. But then I didn't know that when I was doing my show, my parents and my siblings were there. So that was like the first time my dad would watch me wrestle. And then I'll be doing the show, and I'm like on a real high. And then after the show, I went straight to my dad, because he's like my biggest critic in anything. I was like, oh, Dad, what do you think of the show? He's like, come over home tomorrow after church. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I'm still in that adrenaline rush. And then when it came to the following day, drove down to my parents' house. I'm like excited to see what my dad's going to say. Bro, my dad fucking humbled me big time, man. He was like, who's Kingston Eclipse? I was like, a wrestler. He was like, nah, but like, your character, who are you? I was like, fuck, I didn't even know. He was like, in the show, there's a moldy warrior. I can tell because he's wearing like the moldy patterns and the moldy outfits. So I know he's like the moldy warrior. And then you got this guy over here. He's like the sexy man because he's got big muscles, walks around with a towel, and his moves are so like flirty. So he's trying to be the sexy man. But then when you come out, I'm like, who the fuck are you? I go, what? I didn't get it. It was like, you're just, I can't relate to it. I don't think anybody can relate to it. What's your costume? Like, what are you trying to imitate, or who are you trying to push out there like a character? And I was like, damn, shit, I didn't even know. And then it was like, after work tomorrow, come straight home and we're going to break this down. So we just stripped the whole Kingston Eclipse that I had, and we went back down to like ground level. So then we're just saying like, are you going to keep the hometown home of the brave? Okay, yeah, I'm going to keep the home of the brave. Okay, we'll circle the word brave. So we circled brave. He goes, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you say brave? I was like, I don't know. A brave guy. He's like, nah, a Native American. I was like, hey, Native American? He's like, yeah. Like there's like a apocalypto / end of the world kind of character. I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't want to do that. I just want to wrestle. But I didn't understand like the fine line of separating yourself from everybody else, like having a character. So then we stripped that down, and he goes, your costume, nah, you're not wearing that. What's your favorite video game? I was like, oh, Mortal Kombat. And he was like, okay, your gears will be like Sub-Zero. or like reptile or scorpion. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, oh, the flap in the front, flap at the back. Slowly, I started to see the picture of like what he's trying to mold the new Kingston Eclipse. And then he goes, oh, your mannerism, now you got to change it. No more running around and giving everybody high fives and, yeah, let's go, guys, let's go. He's like, nah. You can still be the good guy, but more like a dominant presence. Like, oh, yeah. He's like, like Undertaker. Everybody knows he's a good guy, but you don't see him doing this, shaking his hand. Everybody knows he's a good guy. When you walk out, you want them to feel your presence. So I had to change my whole demeanor, and I changed my whole hairstyle, because at that time I just had blonde hair, and then but that was my choice, where I shaved the whole thing off, and I kept what do you call it, like a dreadlock mullet. And then I wore the feather earrings, and then I just went overboard with the Kingston Eclipse. I just went and got like dreamcatcher necklaces, feather earrings, walking around with a bloody tomahawk. And then my dad just looked at me and was like, are you finished? Like, I think I am. He's like, okay, good. Now that's Kingston Eclipse. I was like, fuck. And so during that whole process, I took 6 months off from doing shows. I'll still do my trainings and everything, like, but when they ask for Kingston Eclipse to be on the show, I'll be like, nah, I'm not doing it. So every week, go back down to my dad, try and hone in this new character. And then that's when, at that time, I was only wrestling in Auckland. And then when the new character came out, I had people from Whangarei want me to take that character there. People from Wellington, they wanted to have that in their show. So I went down to Wellington, Christchurch, Queenstown, and then come back up to Auckland. And that was the most active I've been. And then, like I was saying earlier, my name started catching wind overseas. And then I think with me, I always give credit to my dad, because he's so old school with the golden era, where you got your Hulk Hogan's, your larger than life kind of characters, your Macho Mans. Everybody had a character, but then now when you see wrestlers nowadays, they all wrestle the fucking same. They all act the same. And then I think, without a doubt, bro, I always give my dad the props that's needed. And I think with me, it kind of gave me an ego boost, because like there was no pro wrestlers in Otara. And I think everybody, you're either, if you're living in the hood, if you're living in Otara, you're either working your normal 9 to 5, or you're either an athlete, a gangster, or like a musician, whatever. But there was no pro wrestlers, and I thought like, I'll just add that to one of the many roads that people can take. That way, like at least like if a youngin wants to pursue wrestling from the hood, from Otara, I know how to get there. I know what's expected to get to that next point. And I think with me, and I think with my dad was so proud, because it's like I took a risk, and like I wasn't more concerned that it was gonna fail. It's like those, whatever your dad says, it's law. And I think with me, because he's always been my coach from the age of 9, that like when it came to this pro wrestling stuff, I still felt like I'm that player. So whatever he says, I know it's going to benefit my long run into pro wrestling. And yeah, I'm still, my love is still for pro wrestling. Like I haven't hung up the boot yet. I haven't officially told anybody that I'm retiring yet or having my last match, but it's still like, what do you call it? I still get itchy feet every now and then, yeah.
Jeez, man. Maru. Where's the tomahawk going? I can imagine it now, man. Because you put paint on your face as well. Like,
yeah.
Man, I love it. I think the cool thing about it, like you said, obviously Dad's a big part of the character, but also in your life, intricate part of who you are as a man. Also, man, there's some crazy stuff, man. Like, you don't think of it. You're right. You're absolutely right. You think, Otara, there's going to be some pro wrestlers there. And then you end up being a pro wrestler. And I love the fact that it's not just, okay, I just want to do it for myself. That, hey, there's another avenue there. And it's cool. The cool thing about it is that also you kind of took a chance, you know? And you thought, you know, I'm going to bet on myself and I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah.
And just to tick that bucket list, one of the things that you want to tick off of the bucket list, and you did it. You actually did it also. It's just crazy, and it's just for me to sit here with Jay and just listening to, man, bro, that's some crazy. That's a crazy story. It was, and not just the wrestling, but then the MMA, obviously the rugby league and all this other sports, but even the panel. You talked about the panel, bro. That's because of COVID and because of the lockdowns. Now you're in the kind of the social media realm now, which is another arena, a different arena this time, but you're still like obviously kiss the floor, bro. Tell us, man. Tell us, bro. What's kiss the floor all about? For those who don't know.
Yeah. So kiss the floor is more. He's like the out the gate kind of version of me. Like the no holdbacks, or like the stuff you want to say to your parents when they're giving you a hiding, but you can't say it. Those ones where kiss the floor is the one where after you get a hiding from mum and dad, you go in your room and you slam the door and you try shadow box in front of the door.
Funny ones.
But I got the name kiss the floor from my grandmother. It's one of those ones where like. I don't like saying that I'm plastic, so I'll just say like I'm not fluent in my language. My grandmother, she asked me to get something, or she was asking for something, but she's very like limited with English, but she's fluent in Samoan. And then out of all the kids, she was looking at me, and I was like. So she was saying something, and then I'm looking at my nana. I was like, this, this, wait. Then I went, grabbed something, came back. I was like, Nana, and she goes, shh, you won't kiss the floor. So the kiss the floor was more like just me paying homage to my grandmother. And I think when people ask me like, oh, where did you get the name kiss the floor, or what does kiss the floor mean? They always think that's in terms of like pro wrestling or like one of my moves or my wrestling name. I was like, no, it's from my grandmother. But yeah, kiss the floor is more like the out the gate version of Kingston Eclipse, or like me personally, where there's nothing wrong with speaking your mind, or there's nothing wrong with going against the grain, or if something doesn't sound right and you know it doesn't sound right and it doesn't feel right, then there's nothing wrong with you just saying, hang on, but that doesn't make sense. And I think with some of the I could just say like my generation coming up through, they're too I wouldn't say too timid, but more what do you say? How do you say it? They're more like out of respect, I think you can say. They respect their elders. They respect the culture. And like they don't want to be classed as like the bad guy, or they don't want to be classed as like the black sheep in the family.
Kind of rock the boat kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that. Like, whereas with me, like, because my dad, he's always been like a staunch man, and he says what he means. And like with me, like I kind of like took that from my dad, where you're not just some dumb coconut. You're not just some dumb brownie where whatever the man says, you say yes sir, no sir, even if it doesn't make sense. And I think that's one of the I guess one of the attributes that I found from my dad was don't be scared to use your voice. God gave you a brain and a mouth to speak, so use it. And I think with me, like I'm not so biblical, or like when it comes to like reading the Bible and stuff like that. But there was a parable where one of the characters in the Bible where he was too shy to speak. He didn't know how to speak, especially in front of a big crowd. But then God said, "Just open your mouth and I'll speak for you." And I think with me is like, when I'm not doing social media, I'm a quiet person. But then when I have something to say, it just comes out. And with Christopher Law, he's more like a I don't care how you feel towards what I have to say. You can either take it or leave it. Just agree to disagree. And I think within the Polynesian community, they just hated it because they think that I'm just like a Māori guy speaking on Polynesian topics. And I was like, bro, it's not my fault. I was born like this.
Oh, they think you're Māori?
They all think I'm Māori, yeah. And they say like, oh, you have no right to speak on this. You don't know the culture. How would you know when you're not even Samoan? And I'm like, I'm looking at my tattoos. I'm like, bro, I'm pretty sure I'm Samoan. And then they were like, oh, you don't understand the culture because you were born in New Zealand. And then some of that kind of stuff, bro, I'm like, that kind of hurts me because like, it's me looking on the outside where I've had cousins go through that. And I've had, I think my Fob family come over from overseas and go to like one of my aunties or my second auntie's house, and they get used and abused for being a slave. Go get them a good job. They were promised like a good life, and then when they find a good job, that family holds on to their credit cards or holds on to their debit cards, and every payday, they only give that family member like $50 or $100. But according to them, like that's a lot of money because they've never had that money in the islands before. And then when they catch wind of like what's going on, you wonder why half of them like find a girlfriend or boyfriend at their job and they run off. And then sometimes when I speak on those issues or like those taboo topics, they all look at me like, bro, you don't understand. You don't get it. You don't understand the culture. And I was like, bro, if that's your culture, then I don't want it. And so some of the elders, when I wouldn't say the elders, but like people that are older than me, when they come across my my content on social media, man, I get the biggest like backlash. Especially like with For I Love Lovers, there was this one Samoan man. It got the best of him because he was trying to live up to the expectations of his parents. He couldn't afford X amount of money that they were asking, but he'll go out and get loans just to make his parents happy. But then as he was doing that, he was getting closer to like debt, and he couldn't afford it, and then it pushed him to the edge where their young Samoan man committed suicide. And that family didn't that family member that family was saying like he's selfish for doing that, but they don't understand like the struggles that he had to go through just for his mum and dad to be happy. And then sometimes when I raise these issues, especially with like in the Samoan community with Fight Love Lovers, there's beauty in it. I understand there's beauty in it, but it's being overshadowed by what I just explained, and everybody looks at it the bad way. Like, if you can't afford 1K, only give what you can. But then some families, they're like, oh, you're only giving me 500. Well, your brother gave me like 1,000. It's always like a money issue, and it's always like this family put in 8K, or then this family's gonna put in 10K. it's always a competition, and that's the thing that I don't like. And yeah, with Christopher Law, he will say these topics, or he'll speak up on these topics, and just 9 times out of 10, bro, I get a lot of backlash, or a lot of like my accounts taken down or suspended, or I'm off the platform for like a couple weeks. Then I start going on to like other platforms like Rumble, go upload my stuff there. But then I think with me, I'm so it's like that dopamine feeling that you get. So when I'm uploading my content on Instagram or on Facebook or any other platform, I don't get that. What do you call it? Like, I don't get as much views, or like it's not going as how I expect. But then when I put it on TikTok, like I get these reactions. I get like people are watching it. So I think that's why I'm like on account number 11 with TikTok. Yeah, I do the same thing like with all the other accounts like on other platforms. But I think with me, it's just that dopamine kick where I want to get that reaction. Like I want people to see like, oh, I want people to know that Christopher Law is the guy that that there is no filter with his mouth. Like if he's got something to say, he will just say it. And I've come across a lot. I've come across like a lot of trolls or like keyboard warriors, but it's never in person. It's always online. Sometimes, like when I'm out and about, and I come across like other people, and they say, "Oh, you're Christopher Law." Okay, yeah, I'm Christopher Law. Sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, bro, you're funny as, you're crack up, your ugly truths and all that." Okay, yeah, cool. And then they'll be like, maybe once or twice, they'll say like, "Oh, bro, I didn't like your videos." I'm like, "That's cool, bro." "Oh yeah, but like, it's nice to meet you, Christopher Law." Like, "Yeah, all good, man." And that's, I think with me, that's more. When it comes to like meeting people or like meet and greets, bro, I'm like a real introvert. Even though I'm not ashamed to like run around on the ring in my undies. But when it comes down to like just meet and greets, bro, I'm like, fuck, I get, I don't know. I just get all, not weird, bro, but like more shy. Because like, I'm just me. I'm not a social media viral famous, TikTok famous kind of guy. I'm just Kingston. I'm just a guy that just uploads videos in his car. And then, but from the other, from a person looking at me, they don't see that. They see like Christopher Law, "Oh, bro, I've been watching you for years," or "It's finally good to see you in the flesh." I'm like, bro, fuck. Like, don't do that.
That's buzzy. And it's cool that you mentioned. It's really interesting hearing about Christopher Law being like this extension of yourself and being able to say things that. I love the way you put it in terms of like, you know, the things you wish you could say to your parents after you got home. Like I think a lot of people can relate to that analogy in terms of like, we all wish we could. There's things that we wish we could say. And it's just really cool that you're able to do that and still, you know, that you're not defined by it. Like that's Christopher Law, but you're still you at the end of the day, you know. And so one of the things I'm curious about is, you know, you mentioned speaking on the culture and, you know, people criticizing you for saying, "Oh, you know, you don't understand it, you don't get it." And I'm curious in terms of your thoughts, and perhaps to you too, Pete. Like, do you have to understand something fully or understand it at all to be able to speak on it? Or are you allowed to, should you be allowed to just speak on something even at face value?
Oh, you want to?
Me?
That's for both. Yeah.
General thoughts.
Yeah, Kingston. Yeah, you go first, Jules.
Nah, yeah. I think there's nothing wrong with speaking on something that you're either being a part of or you looking from the outside, and it's just a shame that like you have to be like you have to grow up in their culture to understand, and then you have the right to speak on it. And I reckon that's just sad, because that just puts like, especially like for Samoans, it segregates us from New Zealand born and Samoan born, where it's always going to be like a fine line between us, because us New Zealand born Samoans don't understand the culture back at home, and vice versa, they don't understand the culture back here. And like, if we have like, I wouldn't say like an open heart, but like open mind, because maybe they have like something that's on their mind from the outside looking in to how a New Zealand born lives over here that we might not see. And I think it's I think that's my views.
Cool. But I totally agree also. I think obviously in the Samoan culture, obviously us being Samoan on the table, or at the table, it is. I think it's important that we have the opportunity to ask questions and to be curious, like you always say, Jay. Obviously, there's things in the culture that we understand. There's things. I get that. We kind of grew up with that, so it's a given. We know, we understand it. But also, there's, in the same token, there are things that we're not privy to. Like, I don't really understand this. Not too sure.
Yeah.
But for us to be shut down, and it is. And I think growing up as a Samoan, there's what's that saying? Kids shouldn't be heard. They should just be seen. And so, but it should be, which is really sad. You should be heard. It should be just seen. And so, hence why a lot of us don't kind of voice our opinion or kind of ask questions or just queries, have different queries on certain topics. But what it does, it kind of shuts you down.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're speaking of fight love and lovies. That's a massive one in our community in Samoan, and not just Samoan, but also Pacifica. And so all that kind of stuff with the money, and I know my understanding is that it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Obviously, they didn't kind of give money back in those days. Obviously, it would have been livestock, all that kind of stuff, or fine mats.
Sorry, Pete, just for those like myself, but perhaps there's others who aren't 100% familiar with what that entails. Can you just break down what, I guess, the traditional process of it is and what the sort of intention behind it? Because I've heard it and I think I got an idea about it, but yeah. Good one, Jay. Yeah, sorry for the viewers and the listeners who, but what's a fight, love, and love? And so you can obviously jump in as well, also Kingston. But obviously, fight, love, and love is when something happens in the family, something unexpected. Could be a death in the family, could be someone's wedding, and then people kind of come together. My understanding is that the whole village back in the days would come together, help support. If someone had passed away, they would kind of give fine mats out of respect to honour that person, and also gifts. Obviously, money wasn't heard of back in those days, but obviously in this day and age, it's money now. The fine mats are not really as predominant back in those days, but a lot of it's money now, and so a lot of our people, whether it's a wedding or mostly a funeral, you're gonna have to fork out a lot of that money. And sometimes the other things, if someone's uncle, sister, brother, sister died or whatever, then you have to give or help out with the family in terms of that situation. And so some people take it to the extreme. I think I agree with what you said, Kingston, in terms of give what you can.
Yeah.
It's important that you give what you can, but sometimes you look down upon Jay if you can't give the exact amount they're looking for. If it's like, okay, the family decided, hey, let's give out $5,000 each family gives out $5,000 or $10,000, whatever the lump sum is, and then you imagine the families that you can't afford that.
So who determines how much a family is giving? Is it like if it's, say, my wedding and I'm asking for I love it.
Yeah.
I hope I'm saying it right. But am I saying I need each family to give this much, or is it the families have a talk and I guess whoever's head of families?
And you would jump in as well, Kingston, because most of the times I'm talking about my personal family, we would have a discussion where we would have a kind of talk and say, hey, this is what we're going to give to the family. Obviously, the matriarch, my mum would say, oh, this is it, because dad's passed on. And sometimes they give us an exact amount. Like, this is what you need to give. And, all right, cool. Yeah. We can give that. But I'm on the school of thought of, hey, just give what you can. Yep. Because you can imagine those families, especially in this day and age in the economy and the climate of the economy right now, man, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And so there's the pressure, Jay. There's a lot of pressure, the peer pressure of, I'm not meeting to the standards of the culture, not meeting towards the standards of my family, my whānau, my inga, and I look like and obviously there's quite, the ego is dented, because I look like the bad sibling or whatever. I'm not meeting to their standards or whatever standards they have, and so I can't give. And so there's a lot of whakamā, there's a lot of shame towards that because you're not, that's the guy, that's the family, that's so-and-so. And then a lot of the backlash and a lot of the talk, the chit-chat at the back is, okay, this so-and-so can't give this and that. But if, going back to your original question, Jay, is that I think that we need to have a discourse, we need to have dialogue around this, especially for those who are like, I don't understand what that means. We need to educate our people and our young ones in the next generation, like, this is what whailawe means. Now, I'm not well versed in the Samoa, and some people might be, even right now, Kingston, when we're talking in Jay, they might be right now after this, who the heck are these guys?
Him again.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, the guy's talking smack about the culture.
Kingston, I can't
But don't cancel us, bro.
And it may very well be. That these guys don't know what they're talking about. What the heck are these guys talking about? They know nothing about Samoa. Hey, this is what we know. And so I think, for them to squash us or to quash the conversation is a disservice. I think we need to have these conversations and to help, who better than to have it with our parents, our elders, whoever, to educate us. And because if we're not, then we're gonna make assumptions and we're gonna think, this whailawe is terrible. I hate whailawe. We're gonna come up with the perception, that's just all negative. It's all about money, greedy, all that kind of stuff. But I know for a fact that whailawe in terms of helping family is something that was initially very beautiful. Something that was very beautiful. It wasn't about who gives this and that the most. It was about everyone coming together as a village to help support whoever that person needed support for. And so, that's my understanding. And so, please don't come for us because
We got nothing anyway. So.
Alright, guys, that's a wrap.
Oh man, that's okay. Cool. That kind of helps clear it up. It's funny. I remember always having this because I wasn't like my nan. When me and Brad, we lived with our nana for a bit growing up in our younger years, and she was really into the Samoan culture, and that was probably our only connection to Samoan culture. And I remember I always grew up after seeing how much stress and pressure she was on, like refinancing the home and getting loans out, and then at the end of her life, it was like she'd come from Samoa to build this life, and at the end of it, she owned nothing, or she had to give it back to the bank or whatever. And it was just really sad to see. And I always had this thought in my head, like, man, I know there must be some beauty in Samoan culture, but the Samoan culture that I've seen, I don't like it. And it always put me off. And I know one of her last wishes for me was to go to Samoa. And it's just having this conversation, like you even mentioned, talking about, that story in the Bible and, the prophet or whoever it was being too scared to open their mouth or having to open their mouth and the Lord would speak through him. But it just made me think about the crippling power of shame. Like it almost gets weaponized to some degree. And it's really sad when it's our own people using shame against us to force us to comply or to, live beyond our means. And it's just... it's kind of sad. Cool. It's crazy how much shame can affect us, even to the point of like what you're doing with Kiss the Floor. Like there's so many of us, myself included. I wish I could say, I was having a laugh going through on social media, like, bro, that's hilarious. Like I wish I could say that stuff. And I think it's so cool that you're able to do that because, you're not letting that power of shame or, I'm sure there's other things as well that are trying to control you in terms of censorship and stuff. But for me, shame is something that many of us live with, and that's what stops us from being authentic or being our true selves kind of thing. So.
That's cool, man, Jay. That's cool. That's a cool one, Jay. That's a good question as well. And you're right, because they would have, like you said, Jay, it would have been like, oh man, because I can guarantee you, so there's a lot of our younger generation, even some of the older ones, even myself, I used to hate whailawe. Hey Kingston, we were like, what the heck? Can I give this and that? I didn't even know this person. Who was his third uncle, sister, cousin? Well, who the heck was this person? I don't even know this.
Uncle Rock.
Yeah. But you can imagine for our parents and for your grandma, Jay, you're right, the crippling effect in terms of, man, in the mindset, because you have to give. It's like it's embedded in them that we have to give. We have to. We got a safe face. You know, it's our honor, it's our family name, and all that kind of stuff. And so, even to the point, like, it's sad to say, rest in peace to that guy, to that man, in terms of even taking your own life.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine that. And so, yeah, it's important to understand the culture, but also understand the essence, the true essence of the culture, not the westernized version, so to speak, eh? But yeah, man, shot, Jay. That was a cool one, man. But hey, as like Jay said, Kingston, man, some of the things you say, bro, that's
Definitely out of pocket, like you're saying. Hilarious.
Some of the things, man, like some of the things you mentioned, is like, my gosh. And you're right, because we went outside just before we got on the filming. Man, real nice, you know, just real cordial, and it's just real nice to have a conversation, just real laid back. But when I was like, man, it's the same guys on the on the clips, like, this guy just doesn't give a damn. And so, also, can you explain for us, if we can get back to the panel? You said the panel, and you've done this for 2 years live on TikTok, bro. And you obviously mentioned around the culture and some of the taboo stuff. And be interesting. What are some of the taboo stuff? What's been the most talked about issue with on the panel? It's just been like, my gosh, I can't believe this has been talked about.
It's more focused around like mental health. The most common scenario that's presented to us is rape within the family. Some of the females that reach out to us, they want to stay anonymous, but they were saying like it's from like the age of like 15, or it's maybe like the age of 15, 16, or it's been going on since the age of 11 to 16, something like that, where they finally put their foot down, but they know that if they try and speak up, that they'll be shamed for making something up, and it hits every. It doesn't matter if you're Samoan or Tonga. Like it happens in every community. Sometimes I'm trying to tell my own people, just try and take a page from the Baalangi man's book, because when something doesn't sound right, he just stands up and like, that's not right. And like with us Islanders, like if we stand up and say something and everybody looking at us, we get all shy, get all ashamed, then we sit back down, go back into our little box and just say yes sir, no sir. And I think with what the panel is trying to do with these situations is that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to stand up, even if your back's against the wall. Even if you do stand up, that you will be labelled a liar, even though you're not a liar, bringing shame upon the family name. Especially with the females, where it gets thrown under the rug. And with the panel, and for myself included, bro, with Kiss the Floor, is that like when stuff gets thrown under the floor, under the rug, I'm the kid that picks it back up and throws it back in the air and say like, nah, this needs to be addressed. You can't be doing that to your niece. You can't be doing that to your nephew. You can't be doing that to your son or your daughter. Normally, like I think some parents, with their kids, like, it's normal to go and tell your kids, oh, go say hi to uncle, go say hi to auntie. And it's like, just be cautious of your kids, because sometimes maybe your kid don't want to hug their specific uncle, or they're a bit more fidgety. They're not just being kids. Maybe something did happen. And I think with some parents is like, they think your child is just being like just being a normal kid, just going. They're not hugging your nephew or your uncle or whoever it is. And I think with those situations, especially with the panel, when those situations are presented to us, we try like we'll talk about it, give them our point of view, and support, and link them to other organizations that are around that issue, and then we move on. And I think with some other groups, they take it on as a burden, where they get presented with a problem or with a situation or a scenario, but they get too emotionally invested in it. And I think if things don't work out, or if things don't go to plan that they had in their mind, it becomes too personal for them. And I think with us, the panel, is that we take on these problems. Yes, we address the issues, and we point the victim to other avenues that they can benefit, but not from us. All we can do is just support from the outside. And I think majority of the time, when we get these issues, it's always from females within their own family, something that happened to their family, or it could be, it doesn't have to be involved with rape. It could be about having an issue with their parents, like don't know how to say this to their mum or dad, or they don't know how to ask their parents about whatever's going on in their life. Sometimes they see that their parents are more intimidating, so they want I wouldn't say like a softer version, but more like of a friendly approach. So they come to us because we're more the older brother, older sister kind of panel. And I get it, like sometimes there's stuff that you want to say to your parents, but because your parents grew up in a different era than you, that they probably won't listen to what you have to say. They'll probably just tell you like you don't know what you're talking about or whatever. So then they come to us where we're more around the same age bracket, or we give like a softer approach, a more lenient approach, rather than like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, do that. Go here, but more like, just a different approach. And I think that's why we've been so successful for the past 2 years. We been approached to like go to other outlets and talk about the panel and our journey. The last one I just finished doing was with Shave for Hope, talking about the panel and our work that we've done. The event was called Shave for Hope. It was where one of the ladies, she raised money to shave her hair for cancer, and then she caught wind of the panel, and I think she's been a follower of mine for so many years that she asked if I could jump on board and just tell her more about my journey with the panel. And I think with that, it kind of opened more avenues for the panel as well as Kiss the Floor. What do you call it? Like networking. I'm not really good with networking, but over the past 2 years, it's something that I have to do. So I have to get out of that introvert kind of bubble and go make myself available to like other podcasts or other radio stations and everything like that, which is cool because like it makes me that much confident every day. So yeah.
Man, it's a the panel. And so I don't know. Because I haven't actually seen it also, but in terms of the panel, and so is that how it just kind of formed? Just a group of friends of yours, or they just kind of?
Nah. We formed. There was two members, or well, it was just like two friends. They were online, going live together where you can jump in, and then with TikTok Live, they have like multiple boxes that they pop up, and you can like request to jump in those boxes. I got asked to jump on that as just like a special guest because they all say like, "Oh, kiss the floor's here, like come jump in." So then I'll jump in, and we weren't really talking about mental health, we were just like bantering amongst each other, having a joke, having a laugh, and then we were just vibing off each other. And then it just became like a weekly thing. Started off with 2, then it was me 3, and then 4, then there was 5 of us. And then it kind of just happened where us 5 were just, there was no boring parts with us. We were all just vibing with each other, and then we'll get comments popping up in our live stream like, well, what would you do if this happened or this happened? So some of the viewers will drop in like scenarios, and we'll just say, "Oh yeah, what would you do?" They give their answer. Well, we'll ask everybody like, "What would you do? What would you do?" And then it went from that to more deep scenarios. Like every week we will jump on. So then it was always us 5 every Tuesdays, and then we're like, "Bro, we need to figure out what's going on," because like it started off as having fun, and then now the viewers are chucking in their not concerns, but like problems that they're facing, and it looks like the ones that they can rely on, or like they can open up to, because they can't open up to whoever, like maybe their partners or their mum and dad or whatever. So we need are we gonna keep doing this, like? Or are we just going to ignore the comments, bro, and just stick to our banter? And then we all just came together and we just said, like, we'll just give this a shot, give it a try. And then, yeah, the whole mannerism changed. Like, as soon as we became, like, a registered group, like, a year after that, became a registered charitable group, the whole demeanor, man, just changed. And we became too strict. We became, like, on point, on time. Just 10 minutes on this topic, bro, and then we'll follow through with the next one. And then there was no laughing, so we just called in like a meeting, and we're like, "Bro, what are we doing, bro? Like, what? We're just too strict now. What happened to the banters, bro, and the laughs, bro? Like, we're just boring now, bro." Like, is it because we got registered, bro, that we have to be changed a certain way? Because the people loved us because we were who we were, and they enjoy our lives because of our banter and the way we vibe off each other. We'll go back to how we were. Like, just because we're registered doesn't mean like we have to change. And then the following week, bro, we just went back to normal. Everything was better than it was before. And then we're just going on our 2nd year. I mean, like we all have our own lives. Like, some of us have our own jobs that we do, but then every Tuesday nights we come together around 8:30. But because we're Islanders, bro, we go like 9:30, 9:45.
Island time. It's real.
Yeah, and then we normally have like maybe like an hour before we jump on, like a debrief. Like, oh, this is what we're talking about. This viewer chucked in wants us to talk about their situation, but remain anonymous. And we'll talk about that, and then maybe like once that's done, we'll have like maybe 5 minutes before we jump on, and then we just at least we know what's going on.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's cool hearing like some of the background story, you guys learning and, trying different things. Like, you know, you said when you guys got registered, you tried doing the stick to a schedule and 10 minutes of this. And it sort of just made me reflect on, like, we've had similar processes here too. Like, you know, just trying to figure it out. And we're like, oh, we'll try this. Failed, hard out, all good. We'll pivot, go back. And then sometimes it means taking time out to reflect and be like, actually, why are we doing this again? Oh, that's right. We lost sight of that in the midst of trying to be all, you know, strict with certain things. So just really cool to hear about that exploration process, that growing process, and obviously working with other people. I believe it's a good thing because it does force you to get out of your comfort zone and have a voice.
Yep.
You know, things that are important to you may not resonate with other members of the panel. And it's just cool, similar here, where it's like, you know, we have different opinions, but at the end of the day, we're united in our vision and the direction that we're going. Yep. And as long as that's aligned, you know, we can afford to have difference of opinion and to have discussions around the table that are like, actually, I disagree with that. So just really cool. And you mentioned something there. And it is, you know, about changing a certain way. And you had mentioned earlier about, or you inspired a thought to me about how important is it for us to look the part? Because I've always been torn on this. On the one hand, looking the part enforces a stereotype that, like, you know, you have to look a certain way if you're in a certain profession or if you're doing a certain hobby. But at the same time, you kind of want to maintain your own uniqueness. And so I guess open to you as well, Pete, just how important is it today to look the part? Because you mentioned in wrestling, you know, with that conversation with your father, there were certain things where it was like, you know, you want the messaging to be clear. Yeah. And so for us as men today, I don't know, what are your thoughts on having to look the part of a man in the modern era? Or as an influencer, as an online personality?
I don't know. I think in today's era, like, you can be whatever you want to be. But like, it's, I guess you say, like, to like a real man, the way I was raised, where it was like a real man handles his shit, handles his problems. I guess, like, I learned that from my dad, where you don't say anything, you just get shit done. And I think as I'm growing up in this era now, where sometimes the model that you follow from your father is not working right now, because there's a lot of men took a different route. Like, and then when men talk about feelings, sometimes they get shitted on. Sometimes they get looked down upon because, oh man, this guy's a pufter, because he's sharing his feelings. And I think in today's era, today's society with men, where sometimes we'll try and hold back on our feelings because we don't want our feelings to be held against us, especially with, like, speaking with a woman, where sometimes a woman will ask you just to open up, share your feelings, and then when you do open up and share your feelings to your woman or to a female, and something bad happens, she uses what you just open up to against you. And then that makes us go back to how our dads grew up. Like, I'm not going to say shit. I'm just going to handle my business. And that's why I didn't understand, like, when you ask me, like, with the whole, what's the definition of a man, or like in today's era, because I think that's lost, man. Like, I think for us men growing up in today's era, it's all up in the air. We cater to too many people. If we don't say anything and we get our shit done, because us men, bro, like, we never address a problem. We work around it. Sometimes when I tell, like, other men, like, bro, we need to take a page from a female's book, they're like, what do you mean? Bro, they just rally together at a cafe, have a coffee date, bro, and they just talk a lot of fucking shit. They just speak whatever comes to their mind, speak. But then with us men, it's like, we'll go catch up at a bar, go have a drink, and we just talk whatever's on the surface. And we're like, oh, how was your day, bro? What'd you get up to? How was work? But I think with females, bro, they just talk about what happened, how they're feeling. But with us men, it's like we never talk about that when we have like a meet up with the boys. It's always like, bro, did you watch the game? Bro, how was your weekend, bro? You working tomorrow? It's always surface talk, but we never talk anything deeper than that. And I think it's because we're so confined in that what a real man is meant to look, where you just don't say anything. Just work around it, work around your problems. Whatever problems you have, bro, we just cop it on the chin and just work around it. And I think I think it's just hard being a man in this era because you don't know if you should open up or not. Because if you don't open up, you get shitted on. If you do open up, you get shitted on.
Oh man, you opened up a can of worms. I said, oh man, no, Kingston. Oh man, but oh yeah, no, you want me to answer? Answer that question, Right, I think valid points in terms of what a man should look like or what a man is. Obviously, we all have our own preferences, our own styles, and how we want to look and how we kind of convey ourselves or portray ourselves and our image and all that kind of stuff. And so we're obviously creative individuals and beings. But I think it's not. I think for me personally, it's not how you look or what should a man look like. I think it's more of the internal, right? The interior. I think we can look at different style, whatever exterior and outside, but it's internal. And there's some truth, man. Also, what you're saying, there's a lot of truth in what you're saying in terms of men being able to share some of, and it's a fine line. And Jay, I don't know if you would agree that it's a fine line in terms of, it's a juggling act. We have to be a certain man in this way. We have to be stoic. We have to be staunch, and it's a fine balance in terms of okay, now I have to be kind of quite caring, quite compassionate, and loving. And there's a fine line because if you get to one extreme and I'm the stoic man, I'm the staunch man, and people, this guy's just got no heart. This guy's just robotic, just mechanical, just that raw sexist, misogynistic kind of man. And then you have the other extreme, like let's just share our feelings, quite vulnerable, and share your feelings. We can share our feelings all day, and we can cry all day, and it's still like, oh my gosh. And there's a fine line. People think, like you said, this guy's a poofter, these guys are flakes, whatever. But there's a fine line. I think in this day and age, it is quite hard because you're trying to be a man in certain areas and certain spaces, and if the society says this is the way it should, and if you don't fit that mold, man, straight away you're cut at the knees. Hey, I don't know if you agree. You're cut at the knees. This person is sexist. He's a misogynistic, and then you have the other extreme. Maybe I'm quite compassionate, quite soft, so to speak, and then you're labeled. This guy's quite soft, puffed, or whatever it is. And so I think it really comes down to is this our character as men, and being able to kind of find that fine line and that balance, because I think we should be able to share some of our vulnerabilities. I think we should be able to kind of voice, man, I'm going through some crap right now, I'm going through some hurt right now, and that should be normal. But because people said in society, like we said last time, society said, the pressure of society, say, no, you can't say that, you're not a real man. Men need to keep it to themselves and they don't express their feelings. And that for me, there's a whole lot of crock. I think we need to be able to share our feelings and cry now and then. But also at the same time, we need to still be men. Men. Rock solid men. Like, hey, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. When crap hits the fan, hey, we still need to kind of show up. Hey, I'm a man. I need to handle my stuff. I need to take care of business and still need to be a man. And so I think just being able to find that balance and kind of flip the switch, or flip the switch, so to speak, in kind of wherever place or wherever situation or circumstance, then you know how to move or maneuver yourself as a man. But it's really hard because if you do one extreme, then you'll label this. If you go to another extreme, then you label this. And so it's very hard in this day and age for our men. This is what I think personally. Jay, what do you think? 'Cause that's a good question. What's your view in terms of
I think
what we should look like?
I think I was just hearing both of you talk was just inspired my thinking around, and I was like, oh man, what do I don't even know what I think. So just what comes to mind for me is that the type of man I want to be or that I need to be is dictated by my role as a father. Like that's kind of where my thinking is at, is whatever my kids need me to be, that's the kind of man I am. Sometimes it's me being stoic and staunch, other times it's being vulnerable, getting on the floor, playing with them. But as a man, to me, it's about being flexible. It's about being whoever I'm needed to be, not from any outside source of like, you know, because I've done that too and that sucks and it satisfies no one, definitely not myself. But the only time it's been satisfying for me to be flexible and be kind of who I'm needed to be is when I'm that man for my kids. So yeah, when I was thinking about it as you guys were both sharing, it was actually my kids dictate the kind of man I need to be, and because of that, I learn more about the man that I am. It's not about me finding things and pulling it into me. Actually, I've had it there all this time. It's just my kids have helped me see that. And the other thought it inspired was one of my colleagues at school was fresh from South Africa, and she noticed something about being in New Zealand. She's only been here about a year, and she was like, man, you know, New Zealanders, they really suck at confrontation. Like, you guys really just hate confrontation. Like, you'll say whatever you can to avoid it, or you'll say yes even if you mean no. And I just thought it was funny with our discussion tonight. I was like, oh, damn, it's true though.
It's very true, man. That's true. But you mind you, the South Africans, man, they're quite, because of the living situations in South Africa, man, they're some real go-getters as South Africans, so they're quite abrupt and raw, assertive. Some of their, so yeah, there's some truth in that as well. But yeah, man, that's a good conversation. Going back to, obviously, because Jay said mentioned father, being a father. You're a father yourself, and I know you. We talked about ASD. Dad and Z. Tell us a little bit about that, because I know, and to why you've joined that group.
I joined last year, I think August, September. Reason why, because I have 3 kids, 1 boy, 2 girls. My second child, my daughter, she's diagnosed with autism. So her condition is not severe, like level 2, level 3. Her one's level 1, so she has like mild autism. So she's been on the spectrum since she was 4. I think with me, we didn't find out till she was 4, like before she went to school, because there were certain milestones that she wasn't reaching as you're growing up. She avoided like eye contact, or like being around certain people, or real picky with her food. Only specific. She'll only eat like chicken and rice, and that's it. So when it came to island food, like she doesn't want to eat it. Any other food, she wouldn't eat it. Whether talking is real slurry. There's some kids that are on the spectrum where some of them are non-verbal, where they've probably been on the spectrum for maybe 8 years, 9 years, and they haven't said a word to their parents. And I think with the parents, they're waiting for that day to where their child can say like at least one word, either mum, dad, or just any word. And some parents where they wait for years for that moment to come. There's some kids where they're verbal, where they don't know how to pronounce words, but they're so loud. They won't pronounce any words, but they'll just shout or scream, running around, screaming, running around, shouting. So those kind of kids where they're more on the severe case. And I think with my daughter, because she was level 1, but she showed mild traits of autism. And I think with me, it kind of hit me hard because from the age of 2 to 4, I thought she was just being like a normal kid, like not listening and stuff like that, until we got her checked up, and then they said like she has level 1 autism, and I didn't want to believe it. I was like, nah, fuck off, my kid doesn't autism. And then it hit me hard because like those 3 years, bro, I was like a shit dad, bro, because my daughter wouldn't do this or couldn't do that, and because my daughter, she's 7 now, but I was going on that journey trying to learn autism because it was something new, and then it was just my way of trying to see how she views the world in her eyes. I noticed with her, like, she can solve like a 1,000-piece puzzle, like just like that. And I think with autism or autistic kids, man, they have some kind of ability that I don't have, or like some of us that we don't have. My brother, or like he's one of my good mates, Natural T Hey, Otara Busker, he's got autism, and man, he can remember dates from like 20, 30 years ago. The exact day, the exact time, the exact month, and he knows what happened on that day. It could be like in the 1970s or 1950s. He's like, this is on this day, on this day, on this day. I'm like, damn. And here I was thinking, like, man, like, it's like people that are on the spectrum, man, like they have some kind of superpower. And with my daughter, I didn't find the ASD dads group. I didn't find them until last year, August, and the founder, Jordan, he put the word out like, any of the dads out there in NZ, specifically Auckland, that has any child or any children that's on the spectrum, like, keen to link up, because there's no groups for dads and for ASD dads. You got groups for like women and like mums and bubs, and like there's a lot of like groups for females, but then it's very limited for men. And I think when I joined the ASD dads, it was just like how us and right now, it's just real mellow. It's nothing formal. And it's just a bunch of dads, bro, coming together. And sometimes our stories, it's similar, but we all think like we're on this journey alone, until you link up with other dads that are going through the same thing. Then you can relate. So like some stories from the dads, most of us, we just start laughing like, oh, it happens to you too, and like, yeah, oh fuck, didn't know that. And then we start chatting and just starting to get to know each other, and then figuring out ways that helped us that can help them. And then we get other organizations like the Spectrum Room, where it's just an indoor playground just for kids on the spectrum. There's some kids, or like majority of the kids that are on the spectrum, they don't like loud noises. So sometimes there'll be a plane will fly over and it's too loud, and you just see them covering their ears, or they'll find a quiet spot. So with the Spectrum Room, like it's soundproof, and there's certain rooms where it's not gonna trigger those kids, And then we got like a lot of other dads that are keen to join, but they're from like Australia, or they're from down the line or in the South Island, and they're just asking us like, oh, put a chapter out here or bring a chapter down here. And we're like, man, we're trying to fix our yard first, man, before we travel down or before we travel overseas. And I think with us, because we just formed like a couple months, like in September was when we formed the group last year, and it's just the amount of attraction that we've been getting. One of the brothers too, he's on board as well. Junior Fa, the boxer, he's on board too. So like, it's like I learnt more about autism through him, because there was a scenario, I think during COVID or during the lockdown, there was a scenario where there was a kid that was at the McDonald's mucking around on the counter. Yeah, and it was just being loud, and then one of the parents or one of the public took the kid down and took him outside, like ragdolled him outside. And then in my eyes, I was like, oh, it's just a kid being spoiled. But then Junior Fa, he had his approach and it was like, nah, that's a sign of autism. But people don't understand autism. They just think it's just a spoiled child. So that made me think like, maybe it's not black and white when you see things. Sometimes when I'm at the mall and there's a kid just cracking a foot, or he's like on the ground cracking a foot, and his parents are doing nothing, the child is either just being a spoiled child, or that child has like some signs of autism, where I just ended up being random. The kid was like cracking a foot on the floor, and I just lay down with him, and then I go, "You all good, bro?" And he was like, he just went all shy, or like he softened down a bit. I didn't want to tell his mum and dad like, "Oh, I think your son's got autism," because that's the last thing people want to hear from a random. But like, I got up, held the kid's hand, took him to his mum and dad, and the mum and dad was like, "Oh, thank you for that." I was like, "Nah, no worries, it's all good." And I think with me, when because I've been on this journey with ASD dads, I look at things a little bit different, especially from my daughter's way of looking. How does she view the world? How does she see problems? Sometimes when something's so overwhelming for her, I have to take her out. And I think from the outside, people looking in, they just think like my daughter's just being closed off, or she just doesn't want to mingle, she's just being an introvert, whatever. But those are all signs of like autism. It's been a good journey too with ASD dads. The cool thing about it is like we get new dads every meeting, and it's some of them been on the journey for like 7 years. Some have been on the journey for like 1 week, or they just found out. So it's kind of cool. But at the same time, there's a lot of dads like dropping in the DMs like, "Oh, sorry, I couldn't come to this one. I'll make it to the next one." And well, it's normal because like we've had dads do that, where like they want to make that step, but oh nah, not yet. Maybe I'll take the next one. Because even I was hesitant when I made that first move, because I didn't know how I was gonna be like received. So yeah, man, it was just been one of those rides where I didn't know I was gonna jump on that ride.
And I guess suppose that kind of sums up how life can be sometimes. Sometimes you just don't know where life will take you, or the people that'll cross your path, and you kind of just have to go along for the ride and surprise yourself with the connections that come, the experiences or the learnings that come. I've seen that video too, the one that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And now that you've put it that way, I'm like, holy crap, that didn't even cross my mind. Yeah. Like when I first saw it, and it sounds bad, but literally when I first saw it, I thought it was hilarious because I hadn't seen it through any other scope then. Oh, that's a spoiled child. Like, bro, where are the parents at? Like straight away judging, having a laugh. And then now that you've said that, I'm like, bro, that's just sort of blown my mind about you actually don't know. And sometimes either because of our lack of experience or lack of, ignorance to it or, lack of knowledge, whatever, we don't slow down. Like we're really quick. And I suppose the other thing with that is because social media tends to veer the way of like, you see in a video, it's literally face value. Like you kind of having a laugh, swiping, liking, laughing, reacting, whatever. So just really, thanks for sharing that, man. That's really helped open my eyes to things.
Yeah, man, Maro levels. So there's props to those. It's just, it's interesting also that sometimes, like Jay was saying, you just don't know what to expect. Obviously, you have these kids, and you're always expecting a healthy child, and you never know what comes your way. So, and the learnings, it's powerful. The learnings are obviously around autism, and the support that's there. Like you said, there's a lot of support, a lot of services and service providers out there for our wahine out there in terms of children with disabilities and so forth. But there's a lack of resources for our men, and it's good on the also for starting it up and getting a band of brothers together and having these conversations around autism. I'm just going back to that kid. You said you kind of lie down with that kid. Imagine if it was a Samoan kid, eh? Imagine the Samoan parents. Imagine the
Mental
Samoan
health doesn't exist.
I can imagine, man. I can imagine the other kids throwing a tantrum. Man, Samoan parents, man. What would they do, Kingston? Describe for us any good Samoan parent back in the days. Typical Samoan parents. What would happen to that poor child? They would definitely be kissing the floor. Oh man.
It's funny that you mentioned that now. I'm like, bro, how many people had mental illnesses, like mental health issues back in the day and just straight getting sassed for it?
Oh man, Jay, man.
Far out.
Oh,
That's crazy.
I just dread to think about it, man. Bro, how many of us?
Depression did not have a safe space at home.
Depression didn't even exist. But man, awesome. That's awesome that what you're doing. But it seems like you're in a lot of things. You're dabbled in a lot of things. Obviously, the sports, the pro wrestling, the panel, and then obviously the men's group, the ASD group, and all that. Also, out of all those things that you've done thus far, which one? Oh, what are you most proud of to date in terms of the work that you've done? And it may not even be any of those things, but what are something that you've done in your lifetime right now that you are proud of to date?
I think I'm more proud that my son can speak to me. He's my oldest, my boy. He just turned 13. Because the bond that I had with my dad was more player coach, and when it came to like issues where I'm going through, like it's hard to say it to my dad because I see him as like the law, and then the relationship I have with my son, it's different. When my son has something going on, he comes to me and I'm like, the fuck you come to? Like I've never had that before. And he's like asking me like, oh dad, like this and this and this, and it's real like something in regards to school or like what he's going through. And then it kind of takes my role as a dad in a different way because I kind of soften up a little bit because I've had that when my dad was more the coach, and when it came to trainings and everything like that, I always gave it 100%. So when it came to my son doing his trainings, like for Muay Thai, I'm like, bro, you have to go to training. You can't miss a day. And then when he came to me on that day where he was going through something, through some issues, I kind of had to drop my guard down. I was like, damn, like, is this what it feels like to talk to your dad? Shit. So then I had to humble myself to my boy, and I'm like, yo, like, I'm not gonna say anything, but you just talk. So he was just venting, crying, sniffing, and I was like, damn, you all good? He's like, yeah, I'm alright. You feel better now? Yeah. Okay. And I don't know, it just made me feel like a dad with my boy, yeah. Cause like with my son, man, like he loves Christopher, and like everybody knows him as KTF Junior. So like he walks with that with pride, man. Like being KTF. So like when he talks to me about those problems, man, it's just I just go in a different mode. Just humble myself a little bit and be more of a nurturer. Something that my mum gave me, being that nurturer. So I'm trying to do that with him. And it kind of like, it makes me and my son like closer, where like he doesn't have to hide or like beat around the bush to do something behind my back. Where like if he wants to do something, it's all good. Just ask me. If you're facing something like where you need someone to vent or like just to talk their ear off, just you can always come to Dad. And it's starting to be more frequent now. I think with us, or especially with me growing up, I couldn't do that with my parents. Try and say something, but then like you have the courage behind the door. Open your bedroom door, walk down the hallway, about to say it, but then you just open the fridge. Oh, nah, never mind, I'll say it another day. But then you hold on to it. And then sometimes when you hold on to it too long, bro, it's gonna crack or it has to go somewhere. And sometimes people would tend to drugs or alcohol or suicide or go fuck around or something like that. I don't know. And I think when my son is opening up to me a lot more, it gives me so much happiness because I want him to look at me where it's comfortable to talk to your dad. I mean, like it's comfortable to talk to your mom, but in this, back in those days, man, it was hard to talk to your dad because dad was always the staunch one, mum was always the loving one. And yeah, I'm just trying to break that mold where I'm not trying to follow what my dad did or what my granddad did. Just trying to play both roles where, yeah, I'll be hard on you, but at the same time, bro, if you need an ear or if you need a shoulder to cry on, there's nothing wrong with like leaning on your dad. So yeah.
Jeez, I mean, I don't know. Man, also, man, that's hey. Out of all those things that we talked about, obviously the things that you're doing, and that's the one thing that you're really proud of to date. Also, and you know why your son has come to you also. It's because you've created that space. You've created a safe space for your son. I know a lot of people talk about safe space. This isn't a safe space, but I believe in order to create a safe space, you have to feel safe. And I think your son feels safe because his dad. And we talked about early on, Jason. What does it look like to be a man? And the societal pressures, Jay said, being flexible, and it is. And look, you don't look like those men like you look at you off the bat. Like, oh nah, this guy's quite soft. Doesn't come across like that. You just look at, oh man. But it just shows that the looks can be quite deceiving. We take it. We can't judge a book by its cover, but what you've done in terms of being flexible, being who you should be for your son at that moment. Man, that's gold, man. Gold. That is true gold that your son can come and say, Dad, can I just talk to you and cry? And you say, hey, son, I'm here for you. That to me is a man. Man, props to you, man. That's hard out, man. Man, burning toes. Man, there's rituals. Sorry, Jay.
No, you're all good. how, with all of these things going on, like what a journey it's been, and with all the work that you're involved in, all the people that you're helping in these different forms of work, how do you keep yourself emotionally like available for your family? Because I always found sometimes when you're hearing about other people's problems and you're trying to help and you sort of invest yourself in these stories, it weighs heavy on you when you go back home, and like it really drains you. So what do you do to sort of offload some of that and stay balanced so that when your family need you, they're not getting the scraps or the leftovers, but they're getting, your whole attention?
No, I reckon going on hikes, just hike it out. Sometimes like people bring their not their baggage, but like they bring their work with them and they bring it through the front door, and like sometimes they'll be like so angry at their boss, but then they take it out on their wife or their husband or their kids, or they're just angry throughout the whole day, the whole night, and they just need a release, bro, like a vent. So with me, like with all the things that I've been doing, and the amount of stress that I've had along that journey, that's the last thing I wanna bring into my house, because my kids will feel it, my partner will feel it too. So what I'll do, I'll just go for a hike, and I'll just hike for an hour, just hike it there and hike it back, because like you feel good after a hike where all you want to do is just when you get home, you're like a new man. After that, bro, you just I don't know, ask the kids how their day was, or go look at their drawing that they put on the fridge, or ask the missus like, how was your day? It's like you don't want to bring that, like I was saying earlier, you don't want to bring that to the house. They start feeding off it, because your mind is so focused on, oh shit, I need to get this done. Oh man, like I'm still thinking about what happened before, or man, I'm late on this. But like, because then you start going to sleep with like unanswered, or I wouldn't say unanswered, bro, but like you start go to sleep late, or closing your eyes, but you're not really sleeping. And I think it could be a hike, or it could be like going for a swim, or just going for a walk, or like if you're active, bro, go to the gym, like some form of like outlet where like if you're having a stressful day, or if you're having like a good day at work, it could be a good day at work or a bad day at work or whatever, but just that form of like outlet where you just need to release it before you go back home. I think that's a proper way to do it, and I've been doing that for years. Yeah.
Sharps. Loved it.
Good one, well said, Us. You mentioned it earlier on, also in terms of sometimes in this day and age, our men seem quite timid, quite overly respected or respectful around the culture and so forth. What do you think that could be, and it could be anything, what do you think that they could help our men to kind of be bold enough to not be overly respectful, but also not timid, but still in a respectful manner? What do you think could help our men, our young men, or men in general, who I feel like they're stuck in that kind of predicament? It could be anything, Kingston. First thing that comes to the top of your head, like in terms of,
I don't know. I think because sometimes it may work for me, but it might not work for others. My approach to it was just to say it. Not don't say it the way I would say it, but like you know, be like, yeah, fuffle.
Just swear, mum.
Nah, I mean like don't take the kiss the floor approach to it, but like there's nothing wrong with questioning. Sometimes maybe you gotta plant that seed to your parents. Like maybe they're saying something and you don't like it, but you question just a little bit, just to see how they would react. If they react in a bad way, then maybe you don't say anything. But then other times, man, like if you don't say anything, it's just gonna continue on for maybe the next couple of years, and the cycle just repeats itself. With me, I think just don't be afraid to speak your mind. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna be labeled the bad guy, or you're gonna be labeled the outsider or the black sheep. And it's what comes with it, with having an out the gate approach, or like being outspoken. But like if someone is thinking of like, I don't know, like approaching their parents about voicing their opinions, don't go full on. Just drop a seed, see how they react to it.
Cool, man. Good. Well said, Oos.
And I guess in that sense, like you were saying, like the context matters, like in terms of who you're, because some people, like our parents, even if we have disagreements, they're still worthy of some of our respect compared to someone from our work that's just annoying us. Like them, you can, be a little bit more, not out the gate. I mean, maybe out the gate, I don't know. But it just made me think, like, are there rules to saying what you need to say? Because I always find in my situation, because I hate it so much, at least I'm aware of it now, but I hate that I'm such a people pleaser, and I'm trying really hard, like actively, to be like, no, I can't do that. Or, no, actually, I don't want to do that. But usually I would say yes and let it bottle up to the point where like I just snap and I'm like, you know what, you effing, like, then I start going off and it gets personal and I'm like, bro, I could have avoided that bomb detonating. And it just made me think like, bro, are there rules to, there are rules that we should remember when we're trying to say what we want to say? Are there, and I guess that's sort of what you're saying about tips to help us say that. But yeah, anything from your perspective, Pete, have you found, or even Brad? Like,
yeah, even Brad. I think in terms of our men, I think there needs to be, I think more of an understanding and education around. Obviously, of culture, we put it in context of around culture, but just men who are quite timid and shy, or maybe feel like they can't voice whatever is happening for them inside their heads. I think just being able to take the first step. I think it's just to be courageous, just to take the first step, regardless of what the outcome is. Just be courageous to say, just like you said, just have some bite sizes of okay, just test the waters, see what happens, see the reaction, and regardless of the reaction, I think you need to kind of because you need to be true to yourself. I think you need to be true to yourself. You can't, and it's like you're saying, Jay. I've gone through my own crap in terms of people pleasing, and you're right. There are times like, oh man, I should have just said this, but because I don't want to be the bad guy, so to speak. And then you feel like, oh my gosh, and then it just bottles up, suppress those emotions, and it comes out the wrong way. Yeah. And so I think if anything, just be honest, but also just share what's going on for you and your mind. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. That's the worst thing that could happen. But I think as long as you're true to yourself and just not be afraid to just enter that arena, that space, and just be honest. But yeah, good. Brad, what are your thoughts, Brad?
Bro, can you hear me? No, can you guys hear me?
Yo,
Yeah,
got you.
Yeah, I was one of those guys that had that problem, that sort of like people pleasing type of problem, and so I found a great deal of fulfillment and just speaking what I feel, because what I found is if I don't say what I want to say to that person, if I don't say no at that time, or if I don't like speak up for myself, then no one else is, for one. But then I end up like resenting the other person, like it's their fault, but it's not their fault, it's my fault because I didn't tell them that they don't know. So it's like, that's been something I've been sort of trying to navigate, like you said, Jay, and trying to like just speak up for myself more, because it's just, I don't know, I'm just one of those guys. But yeah. A piece of advice that I heard that I try and carry on with me is the saying, act as though it were impossible to fail. So act, whatever you're doing, just act as if you can't fail. You can do no wrong. And so no matter if you feel something and it comes to you and you urgently want to say, oh, sorry, man, I actually can't help you. I've got to go and do something. Don't be apologetic and just do it, and knowing that, like, it's all good. Like, this is how you feel. This is your truth at this time. So let it be. Let it ride. But yeah, I don't know. That's my 5 cents.
Sure, Brad.
Cheers,
guys. Look at that, man. Sure.
It's funny. You literally just reminded me. Like, just last week we had some advice about this. I was here and somehow I forgot until we had this conversation. But it was, Beulah was saying, you know, he said something about, like, do I have permission? Like, can I have permission to go there? Cool. Like, you've given me permission. That means you have the courage to hear what I'm about to say, and vice versa. If I've given someone permission to say something, I'm ready to hear what you got to say, no matter how brutal it's going to be, how much it might hurt. But I'm not taking it as you attacking me. It's separating the person from the opinion and, like, being ready to, okay, I need to hear this. Let's build a bridge together after you get whatever you need off your chest. And in the same sense, it's me asking permission to let this go. Because like you said, it has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And how many of us have been haunted by the things we hadn't said or things that we've held, you know, we wish we could have done.
True.
Random 4 o'clock in the morning, you're like, bro, I should have said that back in high school. I should have said this to that guy. Like, there's just so many of these things like randomly come up, and that it just reminds me that these things take up mental real estate, even if we forget about it. So just ask permission. Now I'm like, in the words of B, like, shout out B and Neil, ask permission and then have the courage to say it and have the courage to receive it if someone needs to say it to you.
Yeah, but if you're from home with a brave, just scrap it out. Just
What else? Outside?
Oh man, that's good. That's a good Talanoa, man.
That's awesome.
That's
that last
Jay.
cell? That might just be last cell.
Oh man, that's good, man. Good one, as well, Brad. That's a good one, bro. But it is. I don't know what we do today. I don't know why. I think for a lot of us, because we don't want to hurt other people's feelings, if we don't want to, okay. And you're right, Brad, what you said. Sometimes we resent, like, man, you should know. They should know. But they don't know. And so for us to not voice our opinions, it just causes us a lot of what do you call it? Just a lot of pain as well, but also just waste of time, just time waster. So just say what's on your mind, and like you said, if they granted permission, then all good. But yeah. That's a cool one, Oos. But Oos, man, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your nuggets as well, and the backdrop of your story. I love it. I love that you're in the midst of a lot of things, and you're doing some great work. Obviously with the panel, and then how it's kind of formed, and now what you're doing in terms of helping others and being the voice of other people, but also being the earpiece and listening to those people and the issues that they have. So props to you also, and all the best with your endeavors in 2024. But more so, man, I can't wait to see you in the ring again, man. So man, whenever there's a show, please let us know, man. We would love to come in and see you in the show, and support you in whatever you do, and even kiss the floor. Keep up, and I love that you don't shy from your own convictions. You don't take a backward step, and you just keep going. And so a lot of men can learn from what you do. And so also props to you, Maro. Love so forth after tele levels, man. Thank you.
Oh,
and yeah, honestly, huge props for just your journey, and grateful that you've been able to share so much. And I think it's so fitting that you talked about how your dad helped strip down your character and help you be purposeful in terms of building a character, and yet you've been able to strip down all these layers about who you are and what you've done. And it's been really cool to get to know you, like as Kingston, and outside of your other personalities. And I just think there's so much that I've gained personally, and I just feel so selfish and blessed to be able to take this learning and like amplify the man that I am because of what you've been able to share with us. So just props and thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Props also. Every guest that comes on, we always give them a caricature, a cartoon of how we envision them to be. Sorry, Brad, it's just on the shelf there also. So this is on behalf of the Mandate team also. This is how we caricature a cartoon of you also. And so, man, Whaftai level. So this is for you, and so thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Yeah, shout also.
Hey. Wow, thank you, man.
Man, thank you. Also, and also, just as anyone you can think of on the top of your head that you think would be, man, we need to get this guy on. You need to get this guy on, and whoever or wahine on. Do you think would be valuable to add value to the podcast and to our people?
Damn, put me on the spot. Damn. I don't know why. Shefu.
Cool, man. Shefu, man. Yeah, we'll call him out there. Shefu. Yeah, man. My man. Shout also, man. Thank you so much. And always give our guests the last words also. So any words of encouragement for our men out there also?
Okay. I will say this, that there's money and God. You either love one or hate the other, but you can't love them both at the same time. It's easy being the bad guy. Anybody can be the bad guy, but it's hard being good. So that's my advice from my old man that I still carry.
Awesome, smart old lover. Thank you, man. Thank you, Kingston. And so please don't forget to like and subscribe. And your comments, we look forward to your wealth through our comments. And as usual, also, Jamin,
Refine,
unlock,
and take charge.
Mandate.